All right, in this part of the solution, I want to walk through setting up our database and creating the table. So the first thing we'll do is make a new database called ShirtsDB. Now, we don't actually have to do this all as one step at a time. I don't have to create the database and then use it and then create my table. If I want to work in a script, I can. And I can do all these things at once and run the entire script. So I'll show that here, but it doesn't really make a difference. If you want to just run these in your shell one line at a time, that's also totally valid. But what I'm going to do is create database, and I think I called it shirts_db, like that. And then I'm going to use that database. So I didn't even tell you about that part. You're supposed to remember that. Otherwise, we may not be creating the shirts table in the correct database. If I just created a table here, create table, shirts, this table is not guaranteed to be in our shirts DB. It just depends on whatever database I'm using at that time. We can create a database from anywhere, but we don't automatically use it. So I would then say use shirtsDB. Or, of course, if I'm using the GUI here, I could, after I create the database, I could refresh my view and then double click and find that database and use it using the graphical way. Like I'm using Chicken Coop right now. I'm using Pet Shop right now. But this is a foolproof way, and this is the actual command that I want you to know. I don't want you to rely only on the interface. Okay, so create our table is the next step. The first thing we have is our shirt ID, which is the primary key. It's an integer, so let's call that shirt ID, or ID is fine too, but let's just follow the slides. Shirt ID is an int, auto increment, and I'll do primary key on the same line. Again, I can do that after the fact as well. I can add that constraint, but I'll leave it like this. Then we have article, and I didn't specify if any of these are nullable or not. Let's just keep it simple and say that everything can be null, of course, except the shirt ID. So article will be a varchar, article, varchar, varchar, and that will be, I don't know, let's just say 50 characters. And then we have color. I believe the order doesn't matter, but color is a varchar, shirt size is a varchar. Let's say size. Is it shirt_size? All right, we'll be specific. And we could limit this and say it's 5 characters at most, right? Because we would have small, medium, large, extra, extra large, extra, extra, extra large. Do we want to support this many XLs? Probably not. But what about, do we want to support the word medium? That's more than 5 characters. It just depends on how we structure things. So I'll keep it short here. Why not? And then we have last worn, which is an integer, right? It's a number of days ago we wore the shirt. Okay, so if we run this query, or really queries, the entire script, we're going to create an empty database, use that empty database, and then inside of there, create the shirts table. And why don't we do a describe shirts afterwards and just make sure we see something printed out here? We'll know that it worked. So I'm going to run the entire script. If you're in Workbench, you do it using that lightning bolt here. This one to the right, they're so tiny, but this one to the right only runs where your cursor is. This will run the entire file. But remember, you can do this one line at a time directly in the shell. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's see if I have any errors. It looks good. And we get back our results from describe at the bottom. And we have shirt ID is an integer, can't be null, it's a primary key. Let's go over here. And remember how we can tell what database we're using? Select database. We're still using Pet Shop over here. If I do show databases, we should see shirtsDB. Let's use it. And of course, now if I select database, we see we're using shirtsDB. Let's do show tables. Great, we see the shirts table. Let's describe the shirts table. There we are. All right, so the next thing I'd like to do is get our basic data in there. So I gave you this. If you copy it from the slides or from my code, what we want to do is take that and insert all of those rows at once. So I'm going to do this from a script again, but I don't want to put it in here and then run all of this again, because I would create the database again. I would use it. I'd create the table again. I'd run into errors if I try and do that, but I don't want to run all of that code again. So I'm going to select it for now and comment it out. So again, for me, that's command /. So it's still here, so we have a record of it. But now if I run this entire file, this is not treated as code. It's completely ignored. Okay, so this is not valid code either, right? This is going to be our values list, but I need to do an insert into shirts, and then I have to be clear on the order here. So we have the article first, then the color, and then the size, and then the last worn. So article, color, shirt size. I have to match the column names that I created, and last worn. And then I'll have my values just like that. And I could keep this on its own line. If I wanted to, I could put that up there. I could indent it all. It looks a little janky as it is, but it's fine. I copied and pasted it, so it's fine. But I'm going to put my semicolon in there. Make sure this works. Just before I run it, make sure it seems like it should work. Insert into shirts, articles first, color is next, shirt size, and then last worn. Let's try it. Run the script. Okay, let's head over here and let's just end the video with a simple select star from shirts. Do we see 8 shirts? Yes, we do. And does the data make sense? In other words, do we have, colors showing up in shirt size or sizes showing up in article? No, we don't. It's working the way we expected it. So now that we have our data in, the next thing we're going to do is insert a new shirt. So I guess this is really the last thing that I want to do in this video, because then we move on to reading and selecting. But we've got one more part of the creating part of CRUD. Add a new shirt, purple, polo shirt, medium, last worn 50 days ago. And maybe I'll do this one directly here in the shell. Insert into shirts, and we're going to have article, color, shirt size, last worn, and then values. And it was polo shirt, I think. And then I don't remember, is there a dash? No, for whatever reason, polo shirt has a space if I'm just matching what I already have, which will be nice because then I can select all polo shirts. We have purple as the color, medium, and last worn 50 days ago. So that should do it. Let's just double check. Polo shirt, purple, M50. Polo shirt, purple, there we are, M50. Okay, let's select star and make sure it's in there. And there it is. Okay, so all that I'm going to do is just copy that line that I ran and put it over here so that we have a full record of everything we've done. I have to get rid of this arrow though. But you don't have to do that, right? It's totally up to you where you run these individual queries from. Next up, we'll move on to the selecting part of this exercise solution.